Right, let's get off the subject of reform for once, have a break from that, and talk about something else. How about Alex Belfield? And yes, I get it, I understand there are still people to this day who think that Alex Belfield is a political prisoner. He was jailed for free speech, and it was an establishment stitch up, and he's the real victim here when it's nothing of the sort. I know that's going to offend some of you, but there we go. Notice my previous Alex Belfield videos are private. That's because somebody in his circle has access to his account and tried to take my videos down. Well, they kind of succeeded because they're all private, but I had strikes against the videos, which I won, all of them. But I've made them private just in case. You can't be too careful, can you? Ironic, isn't it? The guy who said he was the champion of free speech doesn't like free speech said about him. Now, he's being released sometime this year. He's serving a 5.5-year stretch, and that's for stalking. Now, his behaviour was against the law. It was illegal. It is illegal to stalk people and harass them to the extent which he did. It wasn't just a hurty word on social media to one person at one time. The guy had numerous victims, and this happened over a sustained period. Now, he continued behaving like this even after he'd been arrested for it, charged, and was waiting to go for trial in court. And it got to the point where the only way of dealing with him was jail, because otherwise his victims would have had no respite whatsoever. That's the truth about Alex Belfield. So he's going to come out, he's coming back on social media apparently. Now, I'm quite sure I read somewhere, and I can't prove this obviously, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the police put some sort of social media restriction on him. And I've tried looking for this everywhere and I can't find it, so if anyone can indulge me and put it in the comments, I'll be very grateful. But he's coming out and he is on licence, so if he screws up within the next 3 years, the rest of his sentence, then even if he screws up on the last day of the 3rd year of his sentence or his licence, he will go back to prison and finish his 3-year sentence. That's how it works. It's not like the United States or anywhere else where you get 5.5 years, you do 5.5 years. You do half your sentence in prison and half on licence if you're a good boy or girl. So he wasn't just imprisoned for 5.5 years, he was given 4 indefinite restraining orders against female members or staff of the BBC, and they've released a statement, which is a few years too late. Remember, this happened quite a few years ago now, and I haven't done a video about Alex Belfield for 3 years, but still I'll have people in the comments telling me I'm obsessed with him. I remember my first video about Alex Belfield and people were saying I'm obsessed with him after one fucking video. That guy did numerous videos on numerous celebrities, and yet he wasn't obsessed with them. But then again, you know, when you're a part of a fanatical cult, it's okay when your idol does it. So the BBC have kind of taken responsibility for not protecting their staff, albeit a few years too late. Anyway, this is what they said, and I quote, "People who work for the BBC are often in the public eye and under scrutiny. However, it is unacceptable for anyone to be the target of in the way that Rosina Breen, Elizabeth Green, Stephanie Hurst and Helen Thomas were over a number of years." Now, these are the female BBC members of staff whom he stalked, but he was found not guilty, and yet the court still put an indefinite restraining order on him from ever contacting them again in any way. Anyway, the statement goes on. "The BBC cares deeply about the welfare of its staff, and we recognise that before 2019, we simply didn't do enough for those members of staff in understanding the full impact that Alex Belfield's unacceptable behaviour had on them. For that, we are deeply sorry and offer a full and unreserved apology." End quote. Now, I'm not sure if these females, these women, are still employed by the BBC, but the statement does go on to say that they've learned their lesson and they'll do better, etc., etc. So remember, there's the 5.5-year prison sentence, there's the indefinite restraining orders, and he also had to pay a substantial sum to a policewoman for libel. And he also admitted in court that he lied. And that's by his own admission, by the way, through his own barrister in a court of law. And it's ironic, really, the BBC putting out this statement after years of covering up the crimes of prominent BBC stars. Now they issue this to protect staff, go figure. But like I said, stalking and harassing, it's a horrendous experience. I've been through it. When I first started my YouTube channel, my family were horrendously harassed and stalked by some lunatic who doxed us and said the most horrendous sexual comments about my other half. It was just, it was horrible. It was a terrible, terrible experience. And that was over a short time, but these people, they had it over a substantial period by a guy who's pretty famous. And he used his social media platform to target them as well. Why on earth can't people just use social media for content? Give their opinions or do whatever you do. Explain stuff, demonstrate whatever, have fun. But no, there's always people on here who go a bit too far. They really do. Why people feel the need to go after people's families on here, it's anyone's guess. All right, I target politicians and prominent people in society for criticism, but goodness me, I don't wish them harm. I don't stalk them. But sadly, it's the way of the world these days, I guess. So in conclusion, the BBC released this statement just ahead of Alex Belfield's release this year from prison. Remember, he's going to be unlicensed, he's going to have to watch his step, or he's back inside. Now, can the guy restrain himself, control himself? I don't know. He seems to be a bit of a loose cannon. Remember, this is the fool who thought he could represent himself in court, in a Crown Court. And I'm wondering, when he does come out, will he be pursuing the BBC like he promised his viewers and subscribers? After all, he did ask them for money to do so. I think it was the BBC and Nottingham Police, wasn't it? He's going to expose them all, he said. But he never did. And where is that money? Choose your heroes wisely. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, there we go. That's the latest on Alex Belfield as it is. I'm Paz49. Thanks for watching. And until the next time, Roger Trout.